Now, I said I wouldn't attack the other party leaders unless I saw something greatly fraudulent or taxpayers were going to get hurt in some way. And today I'm making this video to show you how bad this Liberal housing plan is for taxpayers. Right on the Liberal website, liberal.ca, they want to borrow $25 billion to build 500,000 homes. Pull up a calculator and do a little math, and we'll go from there. 25 billion divided by 500,000, that's 50,000 per home. Now that sounds pretty good. Let's go a little further and deeper into this to show you how it's not going to work at all. Now, these houses are most likely going to be built in areas that are extremely busy, or that's where the majority of them will be built. Cities like Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, even Halifax, Nova Scotia, all needs housing. So let's take a look at a few plots of land that you will also have to buy. So we're at 50,000 now. A plot of land in Vancouver, and I've put this to the lowest price. There are 52 listings for residential land. $1.22 million, $1.3 million, $1.3 million. That is the lowest price I could find. In the zoning type, residential high density, no results. Move out of town a little bit, residential medium density, no results. Low density, no results. So let's get rid of this. Let's look at another city. Toronto, Ontario. In the residential zones, there are none. In all types, if we look at the lowest price, the listings come up at $1. That means that you have to call them to find out how bad the price is. But we'll stick with the lowest price, and we'll just work our way through this list here until we get into some actual numbers. And there they are. Vacant land, $535,000, $611,000, $700,000. And we'll just look at the type of land you're getting for $700,000. You could fit a shed in there. That'd be no problem at all. Let's take a look at another one here. That's not vacant land. There's a house on it. Here with a basement is already been installed. There's your foundation with a plot of land for $850,000. Here we are, the lowest listing, $200,000. One picture for the listing, and it's got an ice cream truck in it. So it fits an ice cream truck, a mobile cafe, and that is the only picture. One of one. If your house was to fit here, your driveway would be here, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Now we're into a little bit lower price. There's $10,000, $15,000, $22,500. And what do you get for $20,000? You get a plot of land, 3.4 acres. Now that's a lot better price than we've been looking at. I'm going to bring up the map. I think these are way out of town. Of course they are. They're up in Pictou and whatnot. But if we go down into Halifax, Bedford area. So here's 7 here. And they start at $69,000. The next one up is $199,000, which is already conditionally sold, $725,000. Let's take a look at what $69,000 gets you. 9.1 acres. Okay, that is a much better price than the other cities. Let's take a look at one last one, and we'll take a look at Calgary. We'll go back to the list, and if you want just a basic lot in Calgary, Alberta, $55,000 is the lowest price. What does that get you? That gets you enough room to build a home. 0.18 acres. That is what you get. This picture here is very deceiving. This is multiple lots for sale for $55,000. The Liberal government is going to build 500,000 homes. So these 5 listings here for $55,000 won't last very long, and it won't cover all their needs. Once you start buying these up, the prices of other lots go up as well. $135,000, we are still on the first page. What does that get you? That gets you a lot in a trailer park, annual property taxes of $508 and $250 monthly for maintenance fees. Let's go to page 2, $215,000. What does that get you? 6,400 square feet. 1 acre is 43,000 square feet. That gets you 0.14 acres. I don't think we need to look at any more of these. We have $50,000 for the home. I'm going to roughly estimate $50,000 for a plot of land. We're up to $100,000 now. We've already doubled the cost of this program from $25 billion to $50 billion. Let's keep going. Now, with the exception of that one that we looked at with a pre-poured basement, the rest are most likely going to be sitting on a concrete slab because a basement would cost you about $40,000. These houses aren't very big. We'll get into them in a second, but for right now, if you want a concrete slab, you are looking at $12,000 to $28,000 for a 2,000 square foot home. But I'm going to add $10,000 for the concrete slab after you excavate and pour the concrete and dig out some material, because the land won't always be great. Roughly $10,000 per slab. $110,000 now. You have to service these homes to power them and heat them, and water comes in and waste comes out. So you have water line, gas line, sewer line, hydro, cable, internet to all go in the ground from the main lines to service the home. So you have to tap into main lines and branch that off into the homes. And that bill, I'm going to rough estimate here at $5,000. So let's add that to our price, plus $5,000. $115,000 and counting. You need somewhere to park your car. In a lot of cities now, you aren't even allowed to have a gravel driveway. You need an asphalt driveway. To pave a driveway is going to cost you about $5,000 once again. Time you dig out material down to clay, you add some gravel, and you get the pavers to come in and pave that driveway with asphalt, you're probably looking at another $5,000. We've added that to the list now. $120,000. Assuming the $50,000 covers all the plumbing and electrical and flooring and roofing and so on and so forth in these homes, we're up to $120,000 for a bare bones basic home. $120,000 per home times 500,000 homes. We're now up to $60 billion. That's a lot more than 25. We started out at $50,000 per home and made our way to $120,000 per home. This gets so much worse than I've just shown you. Let's take a look at these homes. Single dwelling. Okay, these seem kind of nice. I'd be happy with something like this. If it's a young single person, they work hard, they just want to come home, cook something quick, go to bed, and then they're up and they're off to work the next day. So row houses and townhouses. So these have 2 and 3 units in each one. Fourplexes. So you have an entrance in here, an entrance in here, an entrance in here, and an entrance in the back. And sixplexes. 2-story. They're segmented into 3, and you can house 6 people that way. Let's take a look at some of them. Personally, I don't find this a very attractive home, but this is one of those fourplexes. So if we just take a look at this model, 5,400 square feet, okay? But it's going to be cut into 4. So if we look at the floor plan, it's cut into 4. That's roughly 1,350 square feet, which is a sizable home. That's not too bad. Let's take a look at some more. So here's your sixplexes, 2,100 square feet, and that is cut into 3. So 700 square feet. These are the ones they would like to build up in Yukon. 430 or 534 square feet. Now that looks absolutely gigantic in the pictures. These are the ones they would like to build in Ontario. 4-unit home, but it's 2-story. That gets you 1,600 square feet. And last but certainly not least, 5,600 square feet. Sixplex or triplex. 5,600 square feet, which means your floor plan is just under 2,000 square feet. That almost sounds pretty good until you look at this picture. Here's your floor, neighbor, and yet another neighbor. A 3-story home, and you only get 1 floor. And my final take on this, and the point that I would really love to drive home, $60 billion is obviously a lot more than $25 billion when you consider what it is actually going to cost to get these built and get to the point where people can move into them. That is an investment that we don't need to have the government do. What it is going to be is a prefab company, probably Brookfield Asset Management, who is now based in New York. There is also the possibility that Justin Trudeau and his housing company may also be involved. That is alleged. I don't know. These houses will not be sold for $120,000 on the market. They will be injected into a market that has a shortage of houses. They will be sold at market value. These will most likely be sold for $250,000, $300,000 each, if not more. Let's say we get lucky and they get sold for $250,000 each. You need $50,000 to attain ownership of these homes. And you don't even get the home to yourself. You are sharing it with people. Let's say a 5% deposit now, $12,500. Injected into a market where people are broke. They're paycheck to paycheck and skipping meals. They don't have $12,500 to afford a down payment. So what will more likely happen with these homes is the bank will not be buying them from the government and slowly selling them to you through a mortgage. Let's take a look at a mortgage calculator. $250,000, 5% interest, 25-year plan, $12,500 down. Your payment per month will be $1,454. So when you do finally pay it back, you will have paid $408,000 for that home, which means that in no way are these houses going to be sold for $50,000 as they're currently estimating. What will more likely happen is people with a lot of money will come along in this market, buy those homes, not as primary residence, but as rental properties, which means that even a $1,400 mortgage payment, which almost seems kind of appealing in this market, you will be paying $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month in rent. And at the end of 25 years after paying that, you will get nothing. This is not how you help a housing crisis. This type of stuff is how we go backwards as a nation. Goodbye, everybody.